Hello everyone and welcome to the conclusion of the US Chess Championship 2025. This is the final round and it's Levon Aronian versus Fabiano Caruana. Levon unfortunately cannot win the US Chess Championship. He's down simply too many points. The only one who can win, or rather the only two, are Fabiano Caruana and Wesley So. And as Fabi is going into the final round as the leader, if he wins against Levon with black, that's it. Doesn't matter how any other game goes. But if it's a draw and Wesley wins against Grigori Oparin, then Wesley definitely has chances to win the US Chess Championship. Or they go into tiebreaks and then, first they go into Rapids, then the Blitz, and then we get a nice playoff. But yeah, before we go into all of that, let's check out this game. So, as you know, Fabi won the previous 3 iterations of the US Chess Championship. He's trying to win the 4th one, and the game does not disappoint. Levon opens with pawn to e4, we have pawn to e5, and for the first, let's say, 10 moves, we have very standard theory of the Ruy Lopez, thinking that we're not going to get any surprises, but that's exactly where we get surprised. Knight f3, knight c6, we have bishop to b5, Ruy Lopez is on the board, a6, Morphy's defense, and bishop to a4. We have knight to f6 and castles kingside, so all been played before, nothing new here. Knight captures on e4, the open Ruy Lopez, d4, and b5, a lot more popular than bishop to e7, but Fabi goes for bishop to e7, sort of a slight deviation from the top main line. Rook to e1 and b5. We have rook captures on e4, pawn to d5, and knight captures on e5. Again, nothing new here. Looks fancy, but it's all been played before. And of course, if you capture the rook, then this comes with a tempo on the queen, so it's going to be 2 pieces for the rook. It's not really worth it. You're going to have to move the queen, and then you capture the bishop, and that's not the best. You will have a knight and a dark square bishop for the rook. Of course, white is much better here. So after knight e5, knight captures on e5, rook captures on e5, and now b captures on a4. And here the top moves are queen to e2, knight to c3, and pawn to b3. b3 actually being the 3rd most popular, but still very much known theory. We have castles by Fabi, and now you could go for, well, some bishop to e3 moves, which has been played before. Also knight c3 is known, but Levon goes for rook captures on e7. It's an exchange sacrifice, but again, a very well-known one, and you could say a temporary one. And Levon is already down to 1 hour and 18 minutes on the clock, whereas Fabi, he did not think for a second this game. He knows all of this. He just blitzed it out. And it's hard to say whether Levon knows it, whether he's trying to sort of fake that he doesn't know it, or he's just recollecting. But okay, queen captures on e7, and now bishop to a3. Okay, makes sense. We have queen to g5. And this is the idea. You want white to capture on f8, and then Fabi wants to play bishop to h3 and have some checkmating chances. Now, you could go for the rook right away, or you could try maybe h4, which after queen captures on h4 and bishop captures on f8, you don't have the Zwischenzug bishop to h3, as you're no longer threatening checkmate. So you're going to have to capture, and then after, let's say, knight c3, because you have to start developing, let's say captures, bishop to b7, defending the pawn on d5, or maybe you don't even want to defend the pawn on d5, maybe you prefer the open diagonal. It's hard to say, but chances for both sides, and black can be very, very happy here. But instead, we have bishop captures on f8. Levon goes for the immediate capture, and he does not mind to calculate against Fabi. Bishop to h3, now threatening checkmate on g2, and g3. While it does defend, it does weaken this diagonal a bit too much. Imagine the queen coming to e4, then you have to weaken further with f3. Although it's fine, no reason to do it. So Levon simply goes queen to f1, and now Fabi recaptures with the king. King captures on f8. You could also capture with the rook, but he's saying, okay, now my king does not have any weaknesses. I cannot get checkmated on the back rank, and also I'm planning to get the rook over to e8. Okay, knight to c3. A captures on b3, we have a captures on b3, and rook to e8. We have king to h1. Unpinning, that means the bishop now has to move either to d7 or c8, but Fabi says, nope, queen to d2. You can have the bishop. I'm going to capture the knight on c3, and it just looks weird. Why would you open up your king like that? So, of course, knight captures on d5, and now, again, you might be thinking, okay, queen captures on d4, we continue this way, or we move the bishop or something, but no. bishop captures on g2. This is how Fabi does it, and the reason is that you have to capture with the queen and you have to weaken the back rank. If you capture with the king, then you get queen g5 check, queen captures on d5, and black is just better and pushing for a win. In Fabi's hands, probably he will be successful here. So queen captures on g2, and that only means one thing. Fabi will be satisfied with a draw, and he will have to wait for the result between Wesley and the Grigori Oparin. Rook to e1 check, rook captures, and queen captures on e1 with check, queen to g1, and queen to e4 check. Now, you could block with f3, but it doesn't really do all that much. You're just going to capture, and after queen g2, you still have a nice perpetual here, queen to f3 with check. So that's why after queen e4 check, Levon just played queen to g2, and Fabi agreed to a threefold repetition. Or rather, they played out a threefold repetition, and then the game was deemed a draw. Queen to g2 and queen to e1 check. And here, it was in this position, on move 25, that the players played out a draw with a threefold repetition. And now I will disclose the result of the Wesley So versus Grigori Oparin game. After, I think they played like 6 hours, Wesley was doing his absolute best to win that game, but he wasn't able to. Grigori held him to a draw, and that means Fabiano Caruana is 4 times in a row winner of the U.S. Chess Championship. Altogether, he won it 5 times, but yeah, 4 times in a row with this competition. That is absolutely incredible. Levon switched to federations last year, so prior to last year he played for Armenia. Now he is playing for the US, and he did really well last year. He got 2nd place, and now he was also hoping to win it, but Fabi seems to be unstoppable when playing the US Chess Championship. I mean, playing Levon like this in the final round, blitzing out all of this, he was just so well prepared. In absolutely every game, he outplayed everyone in the opening. It was, something we've come to expect from Fabi, but also, unless it's Fabi or Magnus playing, you just don't take it for granted. I mean, it just doesn't happen. And for those of you who are interested, here are the final standings after 11 rounds of the U.S. Chess Championship have been played. Fabiano Caruana wins it with 8 points, and Wesley So very, very close with 7.5. Levon 6.5, Sam Sevian 6, Hans Niemann and Andy Woodward 5.5. Maybe Andy is ahead of Hans because chess.com doesn't take tie breaks into account, and I took this from chess.com, so I think Andy could be in front of Hans. But, not sure. Grigori and the Wonder with 5 points, 4.5, Ray Robson, Sam Shankland, and Darius Šverć in last place with 4 points. 4 in a row for Fabi, 4 more to tie Fischer's record, and 5 more in a row to overtake Fischer's record. As you know, Fischer won the US Chess Championship 8 times in a row. So that is, absolutely spectacular. I think from 57 to 67, as some of them weren't played, like 61, 62. But yeah. And you could say, okay, Fabi has a tougher competition than Fischer did back in those days. In those days, Fischer fought against fishermen and lawyers and journalists. But, you give Robert and Donald Byrne an engine, and, they're going to learn all the ins and outs. Just give him an engine. So it's, you play who you have. Morphy played who he... Morphy played against the best. Fischer played against the best. Fabi played against the best. It's a tough competition whenever you're born. But yeah, big congratulations to Fabi. This is a stellar performance, and as always, I can't wait for Fabi to play his next classical game where he unleashes the fury onto his opponents. So I hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank P.A. Bauer, Gerard St. Pierre, Brazos Valley Chess Society, Francesco Corradi, and Uzi Shalev for contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.